Good evening. Welcome to the March Board of Education meeting. I'm Rick Mason, President of the Board, and our mission statement is preparing all of today's students for tomorrow's opportunities. Verification of meeting notice.
The agenda was submitted to the Lake Mills Leader. It was posted at the Lake Mills Library, the Post Office, and the Bank of Lake Mills on Monday, March 15th. It was also placed on our website.
Good. Can we stand and do the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Could we have a roll call, please?
Don Delaney.
Here.
Rachel Davies.
Here.
Robert DiMaria.
Here.
Donna Thomas.
Here.
Richard Mason.
Here. Any agenda revisions? Can I have a motion to approve then?
I move the approval of the agenda as printed.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, that's approved. Community input, do we have any community input out there?
Mr. Klotz would like to speak.
Mr. Klotz, where are you? Oh. All right.
Hello, LMASD Board, administration, staff, families here and at home. Lake Mills Education Association and the Lake Mills Education Support Professionals Association encourages all families to attend the CAPE Forum next Tuesday at 7 p.m. at Lake Mills High School to meet and listen to our school board candidates. However, there will be another important question also on the April 3rd ballot. LMEA and LMESPA encourages Friends of Education to vote no when asked if the state constitution should be amended to eliminate the state treasurer. What is the impact to education? The treasurer, as the state's financial officer, helps to oversee the school trust funds. Because the office of the treasurer is not involved with the state budget process, it serves as the ideal custodian to protect the integrity of these funds. The authors of our state constitution did this intentionally and created a permanent fund and the state trust fund program to support Wisconsin's public education system. Highlights include the Common School Fund, which is the only dedicated source of state funding for K-12 school libraries and technology, the University Fund, which provides funding to the UW system, and the State Trust Fund Loan Program, which provides financing opportunities for school districts and municipalities for operations and transportation. Through this trust fund, the trust fund has invested over $1 billion through loans to communities like Lake Mills over the past decade. So we need a state treasurer advocating for these funds for the children of our state. So we urge all listening to vote no and save Wisconsin's fiscal watchdog. Thanks to the Wisconsin Public Education Network for this information.
Good, thank you. Board reports. Mr. Blaze.
As winter is ending, the students at Lake Mills High School are ready for spring. With the spring months comes spring sports, so track has started and has its first indoor meet this Friday in Whitewater. Softball has also started today, and they're excited to have a strong season. Solo and ensemble was late February, and Lake Mills High School had 31 participants moving on to state. This Wednesday, students who choose to participate have the option to partake in a 17-minute walkout at 10 o'clock to honor the victims in the Parkland shooting. This walkout is also a call for more gun control legislation and more accessibility to mental health services for students struggling with mental health. Overall, the students at Lake Mills High School are excited for the spring and are ready to continue to exceed expectations. Thank you.
Thank you. Correspondence, Dr. Delaney.
We have two items. We have a note of appreciation from our executive assistant, Megan Larrabee, and her family for flowers received in memory of her father, Brian Larrabee. And also a message of appreciation from Margot Peters of the Arts Alliance, thanking us for the use of the elementary school cafeteria for their Super Bowl on January 27 and 28.
Good, thank you. Facilities Committee, Mr. D'Imperio.
The Facilities Committee met twice since our last meeting on February 22nd and March 3rd. Along with the Facilities Committee were representatives from our architectural firm, EUA, and our construction management firm, Myron Construction, and administrative staff, Ms. Strike, Ms. Brockert, and Mr. Hutchins. Primarily what we were doing was updating our master plan, fine-tuning that, verifying some of the assumptions that we had made, again, verifying the budget. We also talked about the presentations that are going to be made at a community forum on March 20th, looking at the district's long-range needs, and I would encourage everyone in the community to participate in that. We will be meeting again this week to continue working on those long-range goals.
Okay, thank you. Administrative reports, Mr. Vogel?
So I believe I should start out with okay, all right. I'd like to introduce Miss Cindy Sandberg, who is our Youth Apprenticeship Coordinator for Jefferson County, and she's also our Career Technical Coordinator for our district, and she does an awesome job. Cindy. Oh, there you are.
Thank you for having us tonight. We have a great turnout here of our Youth Apprenticeship students. This year has been just a phenomenal year for Youth Apprenticeship. We projected 135 students, and as of this afternoon, we had 146, and we still have another probably 10 coming in before the end of the month. So we could have probably 155 students from Jefferson County, which is unbelievable. So we are happily going back to the state to request more funds so that we can take and give more back to the school districts for all their efforts that they've done. So tonight, I'd like to have the teachers to recognize the instructors that have helped with this program this year. Luke Wadenfeld for Ag, but he's at a contest. We're hoping he gets back here. Kevin O'Brien. Kevin, he is Tech Ed. He does our auto and manufacturing. Finance, Jennifer Iverson. Where's Jennifer? Jennifer's back there. And then Health and Hospitality, Sue Haviland. And there's Sue there. So at this time then, I'd like to say, again, thank you to you as the school board, the administration, the instructors, and of course the parents and the employers, because we could not do this program with everybody being involved. And as I said, this year has just been phenomenal. So with that then, I'd like to take and introduce the students and their employers. So when I call your name, if you'd come up here with your employer to receive your certificate, as well as a little token of our appreciation, we would like to do that. First on our list is Lauren Felder. She's at Paradigm Farms with Shelley Reichert, but I guess she's at the speaking contest. Okay, she's at the speaking contest. Next one is Colton Klecker, Ag. He's at Generation Farms with Troy Klecker. Next is Mackenzie Meschke. She's at Meschke Farms with Dan Meschke. And she's also an Ag. Also an Ag, Emily Schwer. She's at John Hartwig Motorsports with Amy Hartwig. Amy's here? Amy? No, Emily.
Emily Schwer?
Yeah. Okay. Next is Mackenzie Windle at Mess Farms with Carrie Mess, also an Ag. Next, in auto, Braden Ferry with Topol Service Center with Tara Topol. I'm going to have to say, Topol's, we've had Topol's on for years, so thank you very much. And that's the great thing about this program, is when you keep seeing this, these employers keep coming back and coming back, it has something to say for our program. Next, and here's another one, Finance, Stephanie Boehm at Chapter 2 with Amanda Johnson. Chapter 2 has been a great supporter in many different ways. And another great business that has been a fantastic supporter of this program, in finance, Cal Porter with AKD Business Services with Vicki Ritchie, and I think we got the whole family here tonight. Next is manufacturing, and we got Tommy Gums. He is at Country Campers with Todd Oberg. And another wonderful supporter of our program. MPI Products out of Deerfield. Cannot say enough. I mean, all our companies are great, but when these companies come up for manufacturing students, it's just wonderful. Isaac Halada with Mike Jelseth, and Nicholas Klotz also is at MPI. Both these students are at MPI this year. Now, this might seem odd. This is also a manufacturing student. Mackenzie Meshke is at Pernat's with Bonnie Pernat. And it's food production, so it's food manufacturing. Manufacturing isn't always durable goods. It's also sometimes the soft goods. And the last one is Jessie Sweezy, Health, and she's at Alden Estates with Judy King. And so this year, from your district, we had, I mean, this is just the seniors, but we've had, we'll have 16 students probably by the time we're done. Oh, Brittany Rockney, did I miss one? Oh, I'm sorry, I did miss one. Ag, Brittany Rockney at Strousdale Holsteins with Bruce Strauss. I'm sorry. I apologize. And this is another one, Strousdale Holsteins. I always see this one. So again, thank you very much for your time. And again, we cannot say enough that we couldn't have this program without having everybody involved. And it's great for our students to get these opportunities to see if this is really the career that they want to do. And what's also heartwarming is when you go back and you have students say, when I get done with this job, I'm leaving this. And yet we come back in years later and we see our graduates, maybe not in that company, but some other company. It is really great. So again, thank you.
Mr. Vogel, are you still there? Yeah. You're free to leave. You're free to stay if you want.
I'll wait till they,
Yeah.
Reach that cord over to that.
Thank you all.
I'll do it if you can.
I'll go get you.
No, let's see if this reaches. Don't make it work.
How's this different? You want to switch places, John?
No, that's okay.
I can go get it.
There should be an extension cord. Here's my course. More regulation.
Cool.
Where are you gonna get it?
An extension cord.
All right.
Do you leave yours plugged in all the time? Do you leave yours plugged in all the time?
No, I plugged
Okay,
it in.
I'll get started. A little bit about school safety. Definitely at the forefront of conversations that we've had, not only with our staff, but with student council. Again, Blaze talked about some things that are going to be student-driven next week, or this week, actually, as regard to what's going on nationally. We also talked kind of the perfect time with talk of facilities of, I know at the high school and maybe some of the other buildings, as far as a consultant coming in to take a look at our building and see, kind of give us some advice or some suggestions on ways we can improve our building safety here. And I believe, Wendy's working on that for us to get a consultant in to take a look. March is Music in Our Schools Month, our new music kind of honor society, Tri-M. A number of activities this month. Lunch performances through jazz band, show choir, string, solo ensemble. Also trivia. Also, they've done, last week, they've done music over the PA before school and after school, which is kind of nice. And we've talked about maybe doing that kind of on a continual basis. Again, they'll do a couple more things throughout this month as far as celebrating music in our schools. Portfolios due this Wednesday for our seniors. So with their little internet outage last week was kind of tough for them, kind of panicking, but we'll work with them to get those in and completed. Also want to give a special thanks to our Link Crew advisors, Ms. Denzine, Ms. Sweeney, Mr. Keel, and Ms. Haviland. Really working all year long on monthly activities for our kids, really working on school belonging with our freshman class and freshman support systems as far as activities through football, tailgating, dodgeball, lunches, the famous Cocoa and Cram, studying for first semester final exams. I mean, the first day we had over 100 students here in the library studying, getting ready. So it's something that we want to continue to do. Link Crew is one of the coolest things I think we have here, and continue to enhance those supports by the end of this year and next year as well. Upcoming events tomorrow: huge band, orchestra, choir concert in the gym, 7 p.m. FFA banquet on Thursday. That's 7 o'clock, I believe 7 o'clock in the auditorium. District Forensics next Monday, March 19th, and we have, I haven't got the results back, but our mathletes, our math team was defending their conference title today. Not sure where they went, but we'll see how they do. So that's all I got.
That's it. Any questions? Anybody? Thank you. Ms. Bauer.
Good evening. I will save some updates on different student activities for next month, because this month I am going to completely focus on safety. Our safety handbook is broken up into 4 areas: prevention, preparedness, response, and recovery. I'm just going to briefly talk about what we've done this year in each of those 4 areas at the middle school, so you kind of have an idea of what we're doing. So we reformed advisory groups after our equity study last year about around poverty, so that we could create a better connection with kids. And this is all going to fall under prevention, these things. And when I look at the entire list, we really do rely heavily on prevention, because we feel that that's the first step, and we do not want to go into some of the other pieces if we don't have to. We formed our communities. We've got a bilingual community. We've got I do a pep club community, so all the students are finding connection within their schools. We did equity training this year. And I just wanted to update you on that quickly. So we had 4 of our middle school students, 3 middle school students and one other student, or one other person come in and talk to our staff. They were like 20, 21-year-olds who had been through our middle school. Some spoke on what it was like to be Hispanic in the middle school, what it was like to be transgender in the middle school, going through that process in the middle school, what it was like. And then the 4th person was from Little People of America, who talked about what it was like to have dwarfism and be a middle school student. So the primary, I think, message that our staff took was that the 3 former students said it was an amazing experience. They always felt like somebody was sticking up for them, that the teachers stopped things in their tracks, that teachers always had their back. If they were tardy for school because they didn't want to change in the locker room, the teacher understood and didn't ask questions, and all that kind of stuff came back to our staff like, wow, this is amazing. And then the one person that didn't go to our school had a very difficult experience, and she expressed multiple times that she just wished she would have had the opportunity to come to our middle school. Her life would have been very different. So that's just kind of an indicator to me about all the little things that we do every day that are really involved in prevention. And making our students feel safe and welcome and belonging to our school. We have the free school store for all of those kids who aren't feeling connected or whatever. I think we're about up to 450 kids a month that are accessing the school store. There's 30 or 40 a day right now. So what does that multiply out to? So lots of access for food. Just a reminder that any student who wants to use the free school store can use it, not just students who receive free and reduced. This is an opportunity that Second Harvest has given us, and that's kind of how they're looking at restructuring their program to involve everyone. So we have a lot of students accessing that. We have Brooks Gibbs coming this week to talk to students about some ways to empower themselves around bullying. And then we have PATA who has spoken to our 8th graders about assault, and we'll speak to our 7th graders just about healthy relationships coming later this month. Preparedness. Our second piece, we just finished our active shooter training. After the active shooter training with the police department and the EMTs, we did a comprehensive review of our needs throughout the middle school, what things we still needed to work on, where we needed to tweak some things. We have enhanced our drills to include more awareness, I'm fire, you can't go this way, those kind of things. We've really emphasized since Florida the voice level 0 going in and out of the building during drills, because teachers have to be able to assess when the fire drill goes off, what's occurring outside their classroom before they proceed with the students. So we've been really working hard on that this year. And then my staff did request a mid-year review of the safety handbook, because at the beginning of the year when we go through it, it's a little bit overwhelming, so we went through that again. In terms of response, we've done a thorough job of updating our safety bags based on what the EMTs told us we needed in case there was a trauma incident at our school. So in addition to some different safety items, water bottles, duct tape, those kind of things, we now have tourniquets, trauma pads, and all sorts of stuff in case people are in a room with people for an extended period of time needing to offer initial first care. We also got brand new bags, sturdier, bigger bags, so that they could carry more things. And in terms of recovery, just so that you know, every time we have a hold or an incident, we meet at some kind of level as a staff to do a debrief. Sometimes it's a full-on level with the police department involved and the nurse involved and everybody involved. And sometimes, like today, it was just me and the nurse doing a debrief. So that's what we do in terms of recovery. Any questions for me?
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Mrs. Thompson.
Good evening. Just a couple of updates from the elementary school. Keeping with the theme tonight of updates on school safety, similar things to what the high school and middle school have also presented to you this evening. Our building has been built with safety in mind. We have secure entryways to be able to access the building. The building itself also has many different safety features within it and outside of it. The gates all around the perimeter of our school also provide safety for our students. Our staff are highly trained. We go through various training exercises every year with our police department. In addition to that, though, similar to what Ms. Bauer was saying, prevention is a big part of what we do. Our responsive classroom training that our staff have gone through over the course of many, many years offers a sense of belonging to our students. We know that when kids are connected to our school, to each other, and to the adults, that they are more apt to make safe choices today and in their future. So our morning meetings are a big part of that, making sure that our classrooms have strong classroom communities and connections. Our high school mentor program is also a big way to be able to make sure that students who might not need a little extra connection with somebody has that within a high school mentor, and I think the high school mentors get a great deal out of this program as well. We have other things like a student survey every year to ask to see how our students are feeling about school, if they feel safe at school. We have a buddy bench on our playground to make sure that kids have somebody to go to, someone to play with when they're outside at recess. And then supervision all throughout our school, especially at the start of our school day and at the end of the school day. We have supervision in the building and outside of the building as our students come to school and leave school. They have a happy, welcoming face, and we have lots of eyes watching to see what's going on. This year at our playground, we also have noticed that we needed a bit more supervision and some more structures in place, so we have stepped up to increase supervision at recess time. A couple of other things that I wanted to update you on. Our 4K roundup, we are in the midst of that. Last week we met with our incoming 4K and 5K parents last Tuesday, and we'll have another round this coming Thursday. Currently we have about 81 students that have been signed up for those 2 roundup dates. And then finally we had our greenhouse build this past weekend. Ben Dayton and Rod Hutchins were the leaders in that project, along with parent and community members coming together to build a mobile greenhouse for elementary school. We received a grant to purchase all of the materials for the mobile greenhouse, and now we are putting together volunteer efforts to put the greenhouse in place. So the start of our garden is going to be with our kindergartners and hopefully with the help of some middle school volunteers to clean up the garden to get it ready for planting season. Then our third graders will be growing seedlings within the school and then move those out to the mobile greenhouse and take care of them until they're ready to be transplanted into the ground, into the garden by our fourth graders. Our second graders will then be doing direct seed planting into the garden. And then summer school students will take care of the garden throughout June and July, and our new playground program will take care of it through August. And then when we come back in the fall, we'll use the produce that we harvest in our food service program. This year we're designated 3 beds just for the food service program. So peppers, green beans, and tomatoes will be grown for Kathy Koyman to be able to use for our students in the cafeteria. And then our first graders will put the garden to bed in the fall. They'll clean it all up and get it ready for the winter season. Any questions?
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Mrs. Siverud,
Oh, can I do this one? Melissa?
was she?
No, I haven't.
Oh, you're going to do it.
I'm going to do it, yeah.
All right. Hang on there, Mrs. Siverud. All right.
So Melissa Brown couldn't be here this evening, but she asked me to share a little bit from the special ed perspective about school safety. And she wrote, every February the district provides a refresher training for nonviolent crisis intervention. We had over 50 staff members from 4K through the transition program, that's our program for 18-year-olds and beyond, that attended that program on February 23rd. So that means we have over 50 staff who have gone through that training. This year, our focus has been more on de-escalation techniques, as well as how to support students through varying levels of a crisis moment and the corresponding staff attitudes and approaches used to de-escalate challenging behaviors. There is also a full-day training that we offer at the beginning of the year to special education staff new to our district who have not previously been through the program, as well as people on the safety teams as designated by their principals. And then she also wanted me to add that some save-the-date info. On April 11th will be our first ever community conversation lunch at the City Hall. The focus of this conversation is to support employing students with disabilities among our local businesses. Formal invitations are being completed this week, and a majority of the invites will be hand-delivered by our transition program.
Good. Thank you. Now, Mrs. Siverud.
You ready? So a couple updates before I start any of the formal presentation. Summer schools sign-up starts on Thursday. It opens at 5 o'clock. The key thing that I want people to know is that they have to log into Skyward after 5 o'clock. Otherwise, it won't give them access to the program to log in. I know that was a big issue last year. If you were logged in at 4:59, you didn't get that window, and we got a lot of phone calls from people at the district office. So if you hear people saying they can't get in, have them log out, log back in. Really important. On the assessment front, February 27th and 28th was the ACT and the ACT work keys for all of our 11th graders. It went very well thanks to our staff here at the high school organizing and figuring all of that kind of fun stuff out. Next week starts the forward exam for the 7th graders, and then the month of April, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 8th graders will all take the forward exam, and 10th graders at the high school. 10th graders will also take, 9th and 10th graders will take the ACT Aspire test at the high school during the month of April. So lots of assessments coming up for our students. One big thing that I really want to note is the ACT is very strict about the rules that are required for all schools to follow. Like no cell phones are allowed in the classrooms when students are testing. For the first time, the state has put out rules for the forward exam that are very similar to the ACT rules. So students that normally keep their cell phones on their pocket are going to have to keep them in their locker. And I know that at the high school, some of the parents were a little confused about that, and kids cannot respond to texts from parents or anything else during exam times. That's really important to note, that that's just the rules, because they don't want anybody looking stuff up on those mobile devices for those tests. So important to note. School safety. We have our district plan, which I attached for you to review again tonight, and the principals have really talked about what they have done in their buildings to make sure that that's on the forefront. We are also working with our insurance company, EMC. They have a Safe Schools training site that they have put up for us, and we're going to be working with them to learn about how our staff can access that this summer. And I also want to call attention to the fact that we survey the students in the Youth Risk Behavior Survey. That is something that the state does, and then we get the results from our students every year. And it surveys things like different risky behaviors, but also like suicidal tendencies and how are you feeling about school. And our guidance department looks at those results, but also you're going to hear tonight our Phy Ed department looks at those results. We're really looking to see how healthy our kids are and things that we're doing to see what we can do for the preventative measures. Next thing on the agenda, the state of Wisconsin has adopted 4 new sets of standards in the areas of computer science, information and technology literacy, music, and science. And so tonight is our first reading of those standards. They were attached for you in the board docs because we need to consider whether or not we as a board, school district, are going to adopt these new standards. Now, the old standards that we have adopted, like for science, are no longer in existence. So we really need to be considered adopting some kind of standards to make sure that we are meeting those standards, that our students are meeting some kind of standards. So I can tell you a little bit about these standards. I looked through the music ones. Those are the ones that I was the most familiar with as a teacher. I really like the new standards. They focus on 4 areas. It's not just about, it's not necessarily the traditional 4 standards of being a composer. Like I always used to laugh as a music teacher. They expected my 3rd graders to compose a song. I didn't have time to teach them all of that. I would have had to have them every single day, at least an hour a day. Now it's more about on appreciation and those kinds of things. The science standards are very closely aligned to the federal next generation science standards, but Wisconsin has its own twist on them, and they had a committee work on them and look at them and make sure that that's they're aligned to what Wisconsin wants. Our assessment, the forward exam, will be aligned to the science standards starting next year. So that's something just to kind of keep in mind. Now we're going to move on to curriculum presentations. For the past 2 years, this group of individuals, librarians, physical education teachers, and our CTE department have been working on their curriculum. And I'm going to start with explaining the process a little bit. So 2 years ago, we started by looking at some data, the current data that we had. We looked at the YRBS data. We looked at how many kids are taking certain classes. We looked at a lot of different data, and they're going to explain a little bit about that. And we also talked about what's best practices in curriculum design. Want me to wait? And we went through what is understanding by design, what are good essential questions, what are good enduring understandings, what are our goals, why are we teaching kids, why do they need to learn this information? And we talked a lot about that. Our second year, we focused more on writing our curriculum and writing our scope and sequence and writing enduring understandings and essential questions and aligning it to the standards and making sure that our students, it was clear and that it met the K-12 scope and sequence, that it wasn't just 1 year's worth of data. So people working together in their departments. They did a wonderful job bouncing ideas off of each other and talking through questions with each other, which is really fun to watch for me. They developed the scope and sequence is kind of a year at a glance kind of document. It has the enduring understandings, the essential questions, the goals on it. And then the curriculum map goes a little bit more detailed. It adds learning targets. It adds the standards, what standards is it aligned to, how are they going to differentiate the learning for the units, and what are they going to use to assess the units, what's their criteria for how they know whether or not the students have met the goals. And so that's something we talk about a lot too. And then at the end, they determine what materials they need, if any, to meet these, the standards and the curriculum and the goals. So they've done a lot of work towards this. So I think I already talked a little bit about this, so we're going to skip right into, we're going to start with library tonight. And the 3 members of our committee were Marge Dahl, Stephanie Unertl, and Liz Body. And you might say, why am I having them write a scope and sequence for library? Well, Marge gets to see kids twice a week. And if she's going to see kids twice a week, they come to her as a specials class. We got to have a reason. What is she doing with those kids? What are we doing with them? What are they learning with her? And Stephanie teaches a 5th grade class. So their scope and sequence has to do with what they do K through 5. So Liz just was there as a consultant and as a wonderful bounce an idea off of her and help write it out. I'm going to kind of turn it over to Marge. The majority of the work tonight was hers.
Good evening. Our review of data, we looked at strengths and weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Our strengths of our program is we're visible. We're approachable. We're always in the library, open to new ideas. We collaborate with teachers as much as we can. And one thing is that we see and know every student in the school. We offer programming. Battle of the Books is at the elementary school, middle school, and high school. And we take great pride in our integrity of our collections. We have both digital collections. We have Overdrive and Follett Shelf, as well as our physical collections in the library. Another thing is we're available to all students. We're one program. You don't need an appointment to come see us. You walk in, we're there to help, always. We're a place where students feel safe, and we also have a relationship with the public library that we cherish. Now, some weaknesses that we have. We would like to deepen our relationship with the public library even more than we have the relationship with them now. Another thing that we would like to do maybe better is to publicize what we're doing in the LMC to stakeholders. So often we're busy, we don't really get to share what we're actually doing. Also, consistent communication with other librarians at similar levels, so that I could collaborate and work with other elementary school librarians in different places. The same for the middle school and the high school as well. What's working for you? Maybe we can use that for us. Some opportunities that we have. We stay connected with our association. We've had an opportunity to visit other schools, and we've taken those opportunities and done that. Our Common School Fund budget provides the opportunity to purchase books, digital resources, and databases, our makerspace materials, and other technology to support our library programming. And we provide students to student learning and love of literature on a daily basis. The threats, the staffing and schedules. Oftentimes there's not enough of us to go around. We would like to all clone ourselves. Also, our schedules are very tight. We have classes coming in, classes coming out. Sometimes we don't have the time to make to do something individual with a student that we would really like. And of course, our potential legislative changes to library funding, our Common School Fund. Yeah, go.
Sure. So every department has to come up with their overarching goal. It's really kind of comes down to the why do we exist? Why do we teach the kids? And their overarching goal is that students are able to responsibly use, create, and, I cannot see, evaluate information and technology which develops responsible citizens who pursue the passions and their need for information, which I thought was a really remarkable. Why do we have libraries in our school? And why do we have librarians in our school? So in our course offerings, K-4, kindergarten through 4th grade has library, and Marge does 1 day a week is makerspace with the kids where they're really being creative, and the other day is spent on more literacy skills and more traditional, what you would think of as library skills, how to find the right book, how to find books that you're interested in, and reading books with the students, so it's really great. And our 5th grade librarian, Stephanie, does a great job with our students doing 5th grade technology and using research skills and how to use resources to find what you need. So students served, they serve everybody in the district, and they also serve the staff very, very well. And their hopes for continued recommendation for professional development is to go to their annual yearly conference. Any questions for Marge?
Good, thank you very
Awesome.
much.
So next, thank you very much. Have a brownie. Mackenzie made brownies for the curriculum presenters tonight, and if there's any left, you're all welcome to them too. On top of your cake. So members of the Physical Education Committee. So 2 years ago, we only had 3 of these gentlemen on the committee, and they have incorporated some of what they've learned with the two newcomers. So Steve Murphy is at the high school. Brandon Siska is not here tonight, but he's also at the high school. Scott Pfeiffer's at the middle school. And then we have Sierra at the middle school and elementary school, and Justin at the elementary school. Turn it over to you guys.
I believe on the first or second day we met, we discussed the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And as you can see everything up there, I'll highlight a few of them. The strengths, we felt that facilities, thanks to the taxpayers and the school board, we have 2 wonderful new buildings at the elementary and the middle school. I know it provides for a wonderful teaching environment for us as teachers and a great learning environment for our students. So that's certainly a strength. About 2 or 3 years ago, I know we adjusted and modified the course offerings at the high school. That's turned out to be a wonderful strength. And then finally, we believe, as we looked at the Youth Risk Behavior Survey, and question for you, Pam, is that a state survey or a national survey? State. Well, we did find out from the data that our students in general are more active than the norm. We were glad to see that. Weaknesses. When we began this process, we had 4 full-time teachers, and we did not have a female teacher in the department. And that we were able to solve 2 weaknesses with the hiring of Sierra Curran, as you mentioned earlier, at the elementary and the middle school, and that she's been a wonderful addition. Opportunities. We have a fitness club at the elementary. Our students at the elementary and middle school are able to give back to the community and society by raising money for the American Heart Association through Jump Rope for Heart and Hoops for Heart. And threats. I know a couple of years ago it was tossed out that the idea of maybe allowing PE credit for extracurricular activities, that would certainly be a threat to our department. And currently they have FIED 3 times a week. 3 times a week at the elementary, and a threat, there's talk from time to time about lowering that to 2 times a week. That would be a threat as well.
So our overarching goal is to empower students to make responsible choices, to develop physical, social, and emotional wellness. Courses we offer K through 10, K through 10 we offer to everyone. And then at the high school for the 11th and 12th grade, they have strength training and conditioning, lifetime wellness, and competitive sports. And then we service all students K through 12.
Much like the last time we had our curriculum review, we took the opportunity to enhance our strength and conditioning program and our competitive sports, lifetime wellness here at the high school. Both during the school day and after school, you see our weight room and the conditioning area packed, and our equipment takes quite a beating. And we took this opportunity this year to replace a lot of our cardio equipment as far as bicycles, treadmills, and things like that. So our kids are using it, and they're hard on it, but they use it, I'll say that. But we're hoping to buy industrial, commercial type fitness equipment.
Any questions for the physical education?
Thanks. Thank you.
Oh, I forgot the professional development. That there is a Wisconsin Health and FIED conference in October, the same time that we do our district, the multi-district thing, and they'd like to go to that again. And so now we're going to introduce the members of the Cte Committee. And did Luke make it? Luke had, okay, so Cindy's going to fill in for Luke. She worked very closely. And I should introduce Cindy first. She should be at the top of the list, not the bottom of the list, because she helped tremendously with helping just come up with the goals, coming up, making sure that this is an interesting group because it's such a wide, diverse group. When you think about, you got from farming to coding to computers to you name it, it's all in this group. And yet they still came up with one common overarching goal, which is really kind of cool. So our Career and Check Ed group, we have Jen Iverson, we have Ben Keel, we have Sue Haviland, we have Kevin O'Brien, and who am I missing? And we have Chris Page. So come on.
Yeah, Luke is first. Oh, I can do over. Since we are so diverse, we came up through technical skills and employability. I'm going to have to go this way. Development, students are able to apply and relate academic knowledge to succeed. We are very much in the academic and career planning, trying to tie academics to what goes on into the classroom to real life. We take what's the knowledge to the hands-on. And so our courses, we do everything from basically grade 6 through grade 12. Agriculture. Hello, I'm Luke. This was a very challenging year for Luke this year because Luke was hired in from industry. And so he came to us with a very good industry background, but not really an educational background. This shows the courses over the last 5 years, but you have to remember Mr. Dykstra left in here. We had a different teacher last year in the 2016-17, so this first one, the 2017-18 is the first year Luke has been here. Luke did a very good, thorough looking at curriculum, and we have some new curriculum coming into play for next year. Strengths, you could always say with agriculture, FFA, their tradition, their natural resources, Luke's industry experience. He is doing some new course offerings. We do not have an animal lab. We don't really have a school land lab or test plot, no middle school courses, and of course, it'd be nice to have a greenhouse. But it's a great time for agricultural careers. Maybe we can get a middle school elective. The partnerships and our threats, of course, are always budget cuts, student enrollment with other electives, and of course, we do see less students with farm backgrounds, but we're looking at our curriculum to make sure that we do attract the city kids as well as the rural kids. Luke did a lot of different things, looking at his curriculums online, talking, of course, finding out what ag is all about, going to different events. And what was really neat about writing the curriculum was I was able to sit with him and say, you've done this in industry. Now, how do you relate it to the classroom? So he did really well with that. So really, Luke, one thing I want to say about this whole department is the last time we wrote curriculum, we have done a lot over the past 5 years with a lot of our different funding streams. Act 59, Carl Perkins, Youth Apprenticeship. So Luke being new this year, but he is going to get a lot of little items for his classes, his My Cart for his new class. I'd like to get a refrigerator. So he isn't real high, but he is really looking to where he can go with the program. And finally, he just likes to go to his WAY conference with Carl. We do a lot of our conferences with our other funding, and he is, as other things come up, we look to see how we can make it happen for him.
Hi, good evening. For business and IT, you can see our numbers are pretty solid, and we continue to increase those numbers. We have a really nice spread or diversity as far as male, female students in all of our courses. Starting in 2015-16, as you can see, we were able to add a full-time position with Mr. Keel, teaching all of our technology courses, so that was a great addition to the department for sure. Our offerings really do feel a need for our students and a demand to prepare them for many lucrative areas, everything from marketing to accounting to IT. So we're really happy with the amount of courses that we have and the diversity that we have in our courses.
Hi, so I'm just going to highlight some of the strengths here. So like Jen said, we have a lot of equal genders, a lot more diverse classes, especially seeing a lot of females now take like coding classes, which is awesome. We need more in that area. We have an awesome school-based enterprise, huge with the school store. Jen does awesome with that. Jen definitely does a lot of outside activities. We don't just have dual credit in accounting now, we have dual credit in Excel, Access, Publisher, HTML, and Photoshop. So that's, you know, a student can walk away with 6 college credits if they take our classes, all of them. And then I do a lot with code.org with the AP curriculum that they have for computer science. So kids are getting a very high quality computer science learning in that class. Just some general weaknesses for us. We don't have a lot of classroom space, so I certainly would like to grow the lab a little bit more. As you saw, there's no real YA opportunities for information technology. It's a big thing I want to try to improve, but the whole county, I don't think there's any IT YAs, so it's not just here. No CTSO, that's a huge thing for me because the reason I'm standing here and even teaching is because I was involved in DECA, so huge for me. And then also I haven't gotten the students outside to learn a whole lot outside of the classroom, so that's definitely an area we can improve.
As far as opportunities go, we are constantly keeping our eyes open and ears open for placements in the community. We have a really strong support from our community. A lot of times it just comes down to having the time to work with students and to work with the employers along with all of our other duties. Opportunities also, there's more dual credit opportunities out there that we're exploring. There's always more opportunities for competitions and getting our students out and working on some of their soft skills. I know Ben mentioned like DECA and FBLA, and it's always something that I've wanted to do, but again, having a one-person department for a long time takes a lot of time and energy to do that. But what I always tell students and parents is that we have a lot of the same opportunities and we do a lot of the same competitions. We just don't have a formal chapter. So hopefully maybe that's something we can grow in the future. Threats. We just have so many opportunities in this school. It's really awesome for our students. So many diverse choices, everything from AP courses to online courses to teacher's aid, mentoring, full block study hall. Then there's music, art, foreign language. There's so much going on here that students often tell me after graduation that they wish they had taken more business courses. And I like to hear that, but I want to figure out a way to get them to do that while they're here, because they realize how relevant and how important those courses are once they get out into the real world and they get to college. So something that we'll work on moving forward.
So for picking out our materials, we did a lot of reviews on different things, curriculums online. We talked to a lot of different instructors in our area, see what they're using, and then just ultimately discussions with Madison College, because a lot of our courses are now tied to them. So just trying to figure out what they're looking for as well.
Yeah, I really just focused on replacing my accounting textbooks because they were the ones that were here when I started working here 13 years ago. And honestly, when I really sat down and think, what do I need, what do I want that's going to cost money? We are so fortunate in our area because we do have grants from, as Cindy mentioned, the Act 59, Perkins. And so I'm usually able to, and there's other outside grants that I write, so I'm usually able to scrape up money for things that I need or want to do. So obviously, textbooks are not cheap. Accounting kind of needs a textbook though, and it doesn't change. So I'm looking to replace those accounting books, mostly because of all the outdated business examples that are in the really old ones that I have, as well as the newer ones when I was doing my curriculum review and research and comparison. The new ones really have a greater emphasis on conceptual understanding and a greater emphasis on like financial statement analysis, which is where I want to get my students into that higher critical thinking. So that's all I want.
Okay, so obviously I have a little bit more here, but textbooks as well. A lot of the reasons why I want those textbooks is because I now teach dual credit, and that's what the college uses. So I'd like to use it somewhat. I do like to not use a textbook all the time, though. So just some other IT stuff. If you don't know what a Raspberry Pi is, it's like a mini little computer. Like literally it's this big, and you can do a lot of different stuff with it. It would be huge in computer science especially. If you just search up Raspberry Pi projects, you'll find all kinds of cool stuff kids, anybody can do with it. I would like to order some game design curriculum to try to enhance that class. And as you can see, that's pretty much it. So. And these are just some of our different professional developments that we can go to. As you can see, there's a whole lot of them. A lot of times we unfortunately don't have time to get to all of them, in the school year. WBEA is a big one, but usually it falls around homecoming time. So we just can't make it, unfortunately. But as you can see, there's a lot of opportunity for professional development that we like to go to. So.
Good evening. I teach at both the middle school and the high school, so you can see the numbers. The reason we're missing sixth grade from 213 to 14 is at that time there was no family and consumer science in grade 6. It was added in 2014-15. So you can see the enrollment. Those are most of the more popular classes that tend to be offered every year. Because there's only one of me, I can't offer all of the classes at the high school and still have time at the middle school. So those are the more popular ones right now. Okay, strengths of our program. 99% of all the sixth graders are exposed to the program, so they see the different areas that are part of family and consumer science, and because of that, it's very easy for the curriculum to flow from 6th grade to 7th grade to 8 on into the high school classes. But yet they are independent enough that if a student takes a class, the survey class, in 6th grade and doesn't take it in 7th grade and 8th grade, they're still able to function just fine when they get to the high school if they were to take baking and pastry arts or working with children. We focus on life school or on life skills. Another strength, the middle school facilities are fabulous. I love that room. Weaknesses, there's only one of me, and not only am I kind of stretched, kind of thin between the two schools, but also there's no one to collaborate with, to just bounce things off of. High school facilities are also a weakness. We're at this point not able to offer professional foods, which is ProStart. I don't know if any of you are familiar with that. It's a curriculum that's done by the National Restaurant Association and also the Wisconsin Restaurant Association. It involves, it's a 2-year program, and it's offered every other year with year 1 and then year 2, but they're independent. So a student could start out like their junior year and start with year 2 and then take year 1 like their senior year if they wanted to. 1 year does not base on the other. And I have had the opportunity to have some training and go to some of their culinary schools during the summer to prepare for that. So hopefully we can implement that. Opportunities, the number of job opportunities in the hospitality area have just increased, and I anticipate that they are going to continue to increase. We also have dual credit with Madison College for introduction to health careers, and we are able to partnership through YA with a number of businesses. Threats, sometimes parents have a hard time buying in that this is an important class, that it's life skills, and again, sometimes scheduling the number of classes that I have that are offered only once. They're singletons, so if they have another class that time, they can't take the class. Materials reviewed, discussions with online with other instructors, visiting other programs, reviewing of material, and also reviewing the materials that are there from Madison College. Okay. Things that I would like to add to the budget, the Real Care Infant Care trio. Right now we're very fortunate in that we have 4 of the Real Care babies. The trio that would be added would include babies that were born addicted to some of the opioids. It would include another one for fetal alcohol syndrome, and then it would include another one for shaken baby syndrome. Currently, we do not have a textbook for baking and pastry arts, and I'd like to add that. And then also the sewing machines are for the middle school. At this time, we have replaced 8 of them right now, and I would like to replace the rest of them. The other machines have a bobbin case that comes out, and the students have a very difficult time threading that machine, and I find that I spend more class time trying to unjam machines than I do actually helping them with their projects. The newer machines all have a drop-in bobbin case. I don't know if that means anything to anybody, but they're much easier to thread. So I'm hoping to get all of the machines to that point. And then just some of the small appliances for both the middle and high school. And as far as conferences or chances for professional development, I frequently attend the consumer science conference that's at UW Stout. It's always the last weekend in September. And then there are the CISA classes and also the Health Science Institute during the summer.
You can go first because your numbers are even.
Okay. All right. So I'm at the middle school. Kevin's at the high school. And in the middle school, we are required in 6th grade and then elective in 7th and 8th grade, and tend to get about between 40 and 50% of the people coming from 6th grade to 7th grade, which is pretty good considering that we're up against FACS and Spanish and all these other courses. So it goes pretty well.
Fighting against each other.
You do. So I think what's interesting here is I noticed when I was looking at this how since Kevin came from last year to this year that the numbers have jumped in a lot of his courses. And so that's a really good sign that those students are starting to take those courses.
Right. I've got other classes. I've got other classes too on the next slide, don't I? Yeah. So the numbers have evened out, especially this year. I noticed that my classes are more consistent. I don't have these highs and lows. Some of those classes that were lower numbers actually double up for like 1s and 2s. So building trades 1s and 2 are together, so that's a bigger number there too. Woods is like that. Metals is like that this year. So anyway. You want strength?
Okay, so we assessed our strengths. Like you've probably heard from these other people already, some strong skills-based, career-oriented. The skills that we have are applicable to the real world. These are jobs that kids are going to go out and get jobs doing these things. Especially, I don't know if people realize, but 75% of the people in this state don't have 4-year degrees. A lot of our kids are going to go into these types of trades. A lot of personalized learning where kids are going to be being able to take their own path a lot of times and find their own way through while learning these skills. We get to deal with these kids one-on-one a lot of times, and it's, once again, career path discovery. Legitimate career paths. I mean, they can see exactly what they're going to do, figure out if it's something they want to do with the rest of their life.
Weaknesses, some of the facilities at the high school, might date back to when the school was built. I end up doing a lot of maintenance on my own time for that stuff. What else do I have? Teaching more than one course per block. I've got 8 different classes I'm teaching this semester. So I've got 3 classes that are 1s and 2s right now, so that's hard on me. Female enrollment numbers, they are coming up a little bit, but it'd be nice to see a little higher numbers. High school program changes. On the high school program, I guess on the changes, if we could maybe streamline a little more so I didn't have so many preps would be nice, but depth of knowledge of each subject is a weakness just because I'm teaching anything from small engines to building trades to CAD classes to woods. So all those classes, while I know quite a bit, I don't know, I'm not an expert at all of them for sure. So scheduling conflicts for college-bound students, and that's the same with all of us over here, is that we're fighting to get numbers because of other maybe AP classes and other things. Lack of staff that limits the section's availability for student scheduling, same thing. Up-to-date technologies. I was just at the Tech Ed conference and looking at the stuff that was out there, it's like it's hard to keep up and it's expensive to keep up, but if we could maybe update some of our things that we could run prototypes for. I know you'll see in our thing that we have laser printers on our monies that we want, just so we can do prototyping and stuff. Obsolete and non-functional equipment, and under threats.
Go ahead.
Threats, competing with college-bound electives, as we said, and not being able to keep up with industry and technology changes that affect curriculum, specifically with the equipment. And I don't know that we can ever do that in our area because it changes pretty rapidly and it's kind of an expensive area, but if we could just get some of it up to date, it would be much better for us.
Okay. Yeah, I know I taught up here 20-some years ago, and a lot of the equipment hasn't changed and hasn't changed since the 1970s, and it starts to wear out. Opportunities. Skillsusa, we started a Skillsusa chapter earlier last year at the middle school. It's an opportunity for kids to learn in leadership and skills, and then go compete against other schools and students. And we'll be going again in April with a number of students. Last year we actually had a winner in our rocketry competition in our first year, so that was pretty cool. At the high school, working with contractors and business and industry, trying to get an advisory committee would be an opportunity that we've had in the past, but with different teachers going through, we've kind of lost that. Potential new classes, Kevin was talking about an enterprise product development class, and then possibility of dual credit or more dual credit courses.
Material reviews. What do we got on there? Discussions with online tech ed instructors for equipment and curriculum. So I've been working. I've gone over to a couple different high schools. You've gone up and visited Watertown to look at their equipment. I just rode up to the tech ed conference with someone and discussed what they were doing too. So visualization of other tech ed programs to see equipment in operation. Like I said, review of materials through websites, which if you know how much equipment we have, that's a tedious, long process for us because sometimes we come across equipment that we don't know anything about. So then we got to do a lot of research, like our laser printers or laser cutters. So review materials with Madison College for dual credit courses.
You want to do yours first?
Sure. On mine, we were looking at two different, I can do them, but we were looking at two different laser cutters, and mine's a little cheaper than Chris's, but mine's a little bit bigger so I can do more prototyping stuff. Also a TIG welder. Right now the TIG welder I had burnt down last year. I've got parts for it, but we've only have one, and TIG is probably the most prevalent type welding that's in industry right now, so we need one of those. 3D printers for both of us. Chris, you had several of them because you want to do, what'd you want to do?
We've had the SolidWorks software down here on the bottom that we both have, which is a 3D program for designing different products, but no way to really output that into a product. So these laser printers and these 3D printers are a way for us to get kids to design and output a product right from that, which would be called computer-aided manufacturing, which we haven't had a lot of access to in the past. It's a quick way for kids to conceptualize and come up with prototypes for other designs that they can then take and turn into a more,
visual modeling?
A more permanent product. Okay, so those are the two reasons for the other thing we're looking at there too is that's just the way that industry is going now. I mean, 3D printing is an additive process. Everything that we've done in the past has always been a subtractive manufacturing process. And so we need to keep up with the industry. And these are things now that, they're coming into people's homes now, and we're trying to get caught up to what people are getting in their home. And then I also, at the middle school, I'm looking at adding to, I have some Lego robots, but I'm looking to add to that so that more kids can get their hands on them at a time, and so that they can learn about computer programming and robotics and things of that nature.
That SolidWorks that we're running right now, I think, is 2013, so, right?
Yeah.
Something like that, so that's why we need to. And so we do have some other SketchUp and other things that we're running too, but a lot of that we can get through the state, can't we, or through, what's that?
It's free.
It's free, basically, so, anyway. Well, opportunities, I just came back from the Tech Ed conference. It's a good conference to see what's going on with other people, and there's other things that go on there too other than just that. I went to one with risk assessment on what we should be doing and shouldn't be doing down in the shops, and eye-opener on some accounts. So anyway, what else do we have?
I want to introduce Luke Wadenhelp, who came back from his speaking contest. So Luke, so you get to know who Luke is. Youth Apprenticeship is part of all of our programs, and we thought it'd be good to see, for you to see what kind of areas we've been in over the past 5 years, as well as how many students we've had. And of course, it says we have 14, but we had just one came in today, and we will have one more. So we'll probably end up with 16 for this year. So you can see all the various areas that your students have been trained in over the years. And again, of course, it depends on the businesses as to how many are put out or are here. But I cannot say enough about the staff this year, what they've done, how they've gone through the process, and how hard they've worked to get to this point. So all I can say is thank you to everybody for their help.
Any questions for anybody for CTE?
Okay.
So that concludes our curriculum.
Good. Thank you for all your hard work. That was very, very good presentation, and I like the format. It was very easy to understand.
Awesome, thank you.
Good job.
They were a great group to work with. I enjoyed a lot of summer time with them.
Thank you.
All right, Mrs. Brockert.
First of all, I was going to start by sharing that last week was National School Breakfast Week, and our food service director, Kathy Koyman, was out in the buildings helping celebrate school breakfast at the different buildings. I know she did some smoothies as one of her activities, and she just did various other things to help with the breakfast program to celebrate that. Tagging on with what the other administrators were sharing about their school safety, what they're doing in the buildings. I come from a different perspective, and some of the things that I've been doing was I reached out to our insurance company. I know Jamie talked about EMC has a Safe Schools program. I reached out to them also, and they are going to provide us with an individual who will walk through our buildings and just look for the safety recommendations, ideas, how we can enhance our safety, our buildings themselves. So we're going to do that. As you know, our transportation director is relatively new, as well as our facilities director. And actually, in addition to that, our food service director and our maintenance supervisor, or maintenance director also have only been here for a few years. But it's nice having some these new staff here because they have a whole different perspective on their background and suggestions and recommendations. Just pointing out some things that they've noticed that we just don't pay attention to anymore. I mean, because we're so used to the rhythm and everything, and they just make some observations and have shared some ideas with us of how we can improve our safety. So I appreciate their feedback as well.
Good. Thank you. Mrs. Strike.
So to just sum up, we had each of the administrators to talk tonight about school safety, and I just wanted to assure everyone that school safety is our highest priority. And I wanted to share with you that my intention was this Thursday night I was going to go to the very highly publicized listening sessions for the Verona the new Verona High School, which will be the most magnificent high school ever built. And parents have been asking about school safety. So they're having a hearing, and my intention was to go there and listen to see what their intentions are about school safety at that new facility being state-of-the-art. So the first thing that Mr. Vogel and I did was we downloaded the list of all the safety features that were in Verona High School, in the new proposed high school, and I can tell you that the vast majority of those things are already established at this facility. And then today I contacted the architect, because we know him, Eric from EUA, and I said, well, what do you think? Should I go to Verona? Should I listen to what parents say? And he said, I'm going to be honest with you, Lake Mills Elementary School is the prototype for school safety, and the things that you are going to hear are all the things that you already have at your elementary school. So you have a state-of-the-art, secure building from our perspective, and the features that we're going to now add to the new high school at Verona are going to be based on the things at Lake Mills Elementary School. So you have it in your backyard, you're okay, you don't need to come. So I can go to the FFA banquet now. So I did want to tell parents that we spend a tremendous amount of time talking about school safety, and it really is a very high priority for us. Switching gears, Wendy Brockert has received another award, the Wallace E. Zastro Award, and that's recognizing someone who displays leadership in her school district, in community, in profession, and a commitment to lifelong learning and professional development. So congratulations to Wendy. And
What's nice about this award is I do get to give out a scholarship for one of our graduating seniors, so it's a way of giving back to the community where I serve, so that's nice too.
And we usually get to go to a nice dinner when she gets the award. I just wanted to start the conversation about the Main Street construction. As you know, Highway 89 is going to be under construction. It's a three-stage project. We're going to start downtown in mid-May. Several of us go to many meetings with the city. We've been working on this for years. What the details that we are really paying attention to is what's going to happen when we get to the second stage or the third stage this summer, and Catlin Drive is closed down right in front of us. And so we've been talking about how we're going to do the bus transfer, how we're going to get traffic in and out of this high school. So I want you to know that we're spending a great deal of time talking to our partners at the city and at the Department of Transportation about those plans. And we will share those on our website, we'll share those in newsletters, and it's evolving. So things that we thought we were going to do 3 weeks ago have already changed. So that's a big project that we're working on. We have included the recreation report for this month. Remember, I've asked Ben Dayton to create that each month so you can kind of see what things are going on. In this, he has summarized all the numbers and activities in volleyball. And now we're starting to move outside, so spring soccer is beginning. There's also traveling baseball and softball that are opening up. We are, he's listed here some adult enrichment, youth enrichment classes. He has the numbers there for all of the ski and snowboard club trips and the trips for older adults. Let's see. He mentions in about the community outreach and how he's working with different organizations. Adult fours volleyball is finishing up before they start again in the summer. And I think one thing that I really wanted to, gymnastics has really been, I got to go to gymnastics on Saturday. That was really interesting. And the thing that's great about gymnastics is not only the young people that are involved, but the number of high school and young adults and community members who come out to teach it. So it's a really nice intergenerational program. We had mentioned that the Recreation Department was part of the greenhouse build this weekend, so that was really interesting. Also attached is all of the information that we've been waiting for about this summer playground program that you have heard about. And this program is to help provide activities for students before summer school, after summer school, and even into August after summer school is over. So you'll see the handout that's going to be going to all families, along with the prices. And although this is not going to be part of our summer school program, we cannot count these numbers in our summer school counts. We are really hoping that by adding childcare or experiential program before and after school, that more kids will take part in our summer school program this summer. So that's working in tandem. Ben and Jamie have been working on that a lot. So please read through that information as well. It has been 1 year since since we started using board docs. So you made it through our first year. So congratulations, everyone. And just wanted to remind you one more time about the community focus groups that are coming about a potential referendum. I think the information that was presented tonight really works in tandem with the plans that we've been talking about for so long. I thought that dovetailed well for people to start to put the pieces of the puzzle together. Again, those are March 20th, April 3rd, and May 2nd. All three of those presentations are the same, and all families and people in our district have received a postcard and even a personal invitation to come to that. Okay.
You're done.
I'm done.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, on to action items. Approval of February 12th regular Board of Education meeting minutes. And let's see if we can take these all together. And then we've got the approval of February 12th Finance Committee proceedings and approval of a variety of facility committee meetings, January, February 20th, and March 5th. I'm going to try to...
Can I try that?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll move the board approve the minutes of the February 12th, 2018 regular Board of Education meeting, the February 12th, 2018 Finance Committee proceedings, the January 25th, 2018, February 6th, 2018, February 20th, 2018, and March 5th, 2018 proceedings of the Facilities Committee.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve all those meetings that we attended over the last month or so. Let's do a voice vote on that. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Those are passed. Approval of vouchers and invoices, and we could also approve the Treasury report together. Want to tackle that, Rachel?
Sure. My computer might die in just a second here, though.
Uh-oh.
I move the
You go
board
quick.
approve. I move the board approve the vouchers and invoices in the amount of $3,380,000. $7.57 for the month of February 2018.
And the treasurer's?
And the treasurer's report for the month of February 2018.
Second.
Thank you. And it's moved and seconded to approve. Both of those, any questions or comments? Let's have a roll call, please.
Rachel Davies.
Aye.
Robert D'Imperio.
Aye.
Donna Thomas.
Aye.
Dawn Delaney.
Aye.
Richard Mason.
Aye, and that passes unanimously. Approval of early college credit.
So twice a year you pass what we've always called youth options. Well, the state legislature has restructured that program, opening up opportunities to attend colleges, but also the two-year schools, and we are putting that language in place. So now you're going to hear this called early college credit courses, and there's new rules that go along with that. So there are 2 students right now who are applying for that.
I move the board approve the early college credit course request for the first semester of the 2018-19 school year.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the early college credit courses. Any questions, comments?
have a question.
My understanding
Go ahead.
is that although that these students have asked for like a number of classes, they may not be able to get them all, correct?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was one of my questions. The other was, so they're taking these classes in addition to whatever the regular curriculum at the high school would be?
Yes.
So this is beyond what they're required to take here at the high school. They're taking these additional classes through.
No.
Am I correct?
Yes. These students, so they are 11th graders right now. They're going to be seniors. So I just know them, and I know that credit-wise, they have taken pretty much all of the required classes that we have here, so they have time in their schedule to do these. Typically, what happens is they have their wish list of courses, and as Mr. D'Imperio had said, it's very rare that they would get more than 2 of these because they just, they used to be able to register first, now they register last. So tying this all together and, making the schedule work is very rare. So,
Thank you.
Are the rules still the same as they were for the youth options, like juniors and seniors can take these
no,
courses?
there's many, many more rules, and we'll talk about that as we update
Okay,
that.
but no longer can juniors do this, just seniors?
That is part of it, but there's also more rules about summer and taking things during the summer, so it's,
Okay.
we'll show you that whole comprehensive program.
Is it still 17, up to 17 credits?
I thought it was 16. Yeah.
Okay.
It's the same number, right?
We had a motion on this?
Yes.
Yes, okay, good. Any other questions?
You just have to lock you back in.
All right, roll call, please.
Robert D'Imperio.
Aye.
Donna Thomas.
Aye.
Don Delaney.
Aye.
Rachel Davies.
Aye.
Richard Mason.
Aye, and that passes unanimously. Approval of van purchases.
We received 4 different bids from Ford dealerships for a 10-passenger van, as well as we reached out to some Chevrolet dealerships as well. We are recommending to purchase 2 10-passenger vans from Grunwald Ford at the cost of $26,160.16 each.
A piece.
Yeah, piece.
Have a motion, please?
I move the board approve the purchase of 2 Ford Transit passenger wagon T150 vans from Grunwald Ford of Watertown for $26,160.16 each for the 2018-19 school year.
Questions, comments? We discussed it in the Finance Committee. Roll call, please.
Donna Thomas.
Aye.
Don Delaney.
Aye.
Rachel Davies.
Aye.
Robert D'Imperio.
Aye.
Richard Mason.
Aye, and that passes unanimously. Approval of co-op with Cambridge School District for JV softball.
We have been doing this co-op with Cambridge School District, and we just want to make sure that we have this as a backup plan. It's all dependent upon numbers, and when I checked in today, he said we're really just even on kind of on the bubble right now, whether or not we needed to do it this year, but we wanted to get out in front of this and make sure that we have this opportunity for students if we need it in the future.
Motion.
I move the board approve the co-op with Cambridge School District for JV softball for the 2018-19 school year.
Second?
Moved and seconded to approve the co-op program. Comments, questions? If needed, we can use it. Megan?
Don Delaney.
Aye.
Rachel Davies.
Aye.
Robert D'Imperio.
Aye.
Donna Thomas.
Aye.
Richard Mason.
Aye, that passes unanimously. Approval of 8th grade science trip to Washington.
For 2019. So we're just amping up for the 2018 trip, but because we want to be out a year ahead, we want to get this in front of you already. We have attached the draft of this year's itinerary. That hasn't even been finalized yet, just to give you a sense of what the students do during that trip.
Motion, please.
I move the board approve the June 2019 middle school trip to Washington, D.C. It is understood that the board will incur no cost and will accept no liability for any funds lost for any reason.
Second?
Moved and seconded to approve the trip for June 19th for the middle school to Washington. Comments? Questions?
Is this the trip that Mr. Cliff leads?
Yes.
Okay.
And at this point, I will be going in 2019, and so will Ms. Bauer, so that we can experience it for ourselves and make sure that we can assure parents that it's a really quality program.
Good. Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Rachel Davies.
Aye.
Robert D'Imperio.
Aye.
Donna Thomas.
Aye.
Don Delaney.
Aye.
Richard Mason.
Aye, and that passes unanimously. Approval of support staff retirement.
So Sandy Zimmerman has been with our food service for 29 years, and she has submitted her letter for retirement. She's been just a wonderful staff member. Besides doing all of the food service for all these years, she also works all summer long as a custodian. So she's been a great member of our team.
I'll move the board approve the retirement for Ms. Sandra Zimmerman in food service effective June 8th, 2018, and thank her very much for her 29 years of service to the students of the Lake Mills Area School District.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the retirement. Any questions, comments? Roll call, please.
Robert D'Imperio.
Aye.
Donna Thomas.
Aye.
Dawn Delaney.
Aye.
Rachel Davies.
Aye.
Richard Mason.
Aye, and that passes unanimously. Approval of support staff resignation.
At this time, Kathy Hansen serves as a food service worker and as a crossing guard. We received this letter for her to resign the food service portion of it. She'll continue to be a crossing guard for us. Again, just a wonderful person in our food service program.
I move the board approve the resignation for Ms. Kathleen Hansen in food service effective June 8th, 2018, and thank her for her service to the students of Lake Mills Area School District.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the support staff resignation. Questions on that? Roll call, please.
Donna Thomas.
Aye.
Dawn Delaney.
Aye.
Rachel Davies.
Aye.
Robert D'Imperio.
Aye.
Richard Mason.
Aye, and that passes unanimously. Approval of co-curricular letter of assignment.
Mr. Joel Walden is one of our new special ed pair educators, and he has applied to be one of the varsity track coaches.
I'll move the board approve a co-curricular letter of assignment for Mr. Joe Walden as assistant varsity track coach for the 2017-18 school year.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the letter of assignment, co-curricular letter of assignment. Questions, comments? Roll call, please.
Dawn Delaney.
Aye.
Rachel Davies.
Aye.
Robert D'Imperio.
Aye.
Donna Thomas.
Aye.
Richard Mason.
Aye, and that passes unanimously. Approval of gifts.
And as always, we have 3 gifts this evening from the community.
I move the board accept the following donations and thank the donors very much for their generous support of our students. A $130 donation to the high school baseball program from the Thundercats and Mr. Kyle Hands. A $300 donation to the high school football program from Ms. Tara Johnson. And a $385 donation to the high school FFA department from Culver's of Lake Mills, owned by Mr. John Laundrie.
Lundin. Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the gifts. Questions, comments, and those. Thank you to everybody again. Roll call, please.
Rachel Davies.
Aye.
Robert D'Imperio.
Aye.
Donna Thomas.
Aye.
Dawn Delaney.
Aye.
Richard Mason.
Aye, and that passes unanimously. Upcoming agenda items for April.
In April, as Ms. Thompson said, we're doing our 4K roundup, so we'll know about 4K numbers, and so we'll need to renew those contracts. I've already met with both of the providers that we have used, so we have those numbers for you. We will have the exit interview report from Mr. Dayton, who did that for us. Tara Williams will be here with the English Language Learners Program report. We will also need to take up the standards that Jamie Searood talked about tonight that we'll need to approve. And then we'll also have to have a special meeting on April 23rd. That will be after the election, where we swear in the new members and talk about reorganization.
I move
All right.
adjournment.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, we are adjourned.